promised earlier, there's some XFL news. The NFL and the XFL have reached a deal on a collaboration on select innovation programs to further expand the game of football and create increased opportunities for player development, both on and off the field. So this was announced by the XFL on Monday. The XFL says the focus of its collaboration with the NFL will be health and safety initiatives, including forward-thinking physical and mental programs for players, the study of playing surfaces and equipment, and the sharing of game trends and data. That's relevant because, as we mentioned earlier on the show, OBJ tearing his ACL on the turf field at SoFi, and a lot of players reached out and said turf should be banned. So interesting that they're looking into something. And I don't remember what player it was, but a player came out recently and said that, all 32 NFL teams make enough money to maintain natural grass fields, that nobody should be playing on artificial turf anymore. Absolutely. And, if it's causing injuries, remember Game 2 of last season, the 2020 season, when we lost Bosa, Bosa, Eric Armstead, and I'm trying to think of who else. We lost like 3 players to the ACL on the Jets turf in the Meadowlands. Remember that shit?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah,
it was Jimmy. Yeah, I
remember there being
Jimmy was the other one.
Was it Jimmy?
Jimmy's high ankle sprain, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's when Mullins came in.
Yeah, so that was what it was. So I'm with it. I mean, do anything that you can to, look into the safety of the game without making the game, just different. I mean, I'm not about eliminating the kickoff. I know that's something that they've tried to do because of all the special teams injuries. But so there was a quote by Troy Vincent, former NFL player and Eagles safety Troy Vincent, who's now NFL executive and VP of football operations, who has stated, "The XFL has shown us that innovation is one of its core principles. We are hopeful that this relationship will support further development and improvements in the game of football at all levels." And then the XFL, of course, was refounded in 2018. It had its inaugural season back in 2020 before COVID. Obviously, old Uncle COVID came in and fucked everything up, including the XFL, midway through the season, and forced the league to cease operations. So Dwayne The Rock Johnson bought it from Vince McMahon. His old buddy Vince McMahon, giving him a good price on the XFL. We appreciate you, Vince. Thanks because The Rock's actually going to do something with it now. And as we mentioned earlier, the XFL is slated to return to play in 2023. Well, now the NFL's associated with it, bud. So now I feel like the NFL's kind of on the hook.
That should help. The NFL's
kind of tethered to its success now. It's like if the XFL fails, I feel like it makes the NFL look bad now. So it's like...
Yeah, but the NFL's not going to fail even if the XFL...
The NFL will never fail. No, the NFL will never fail.
Yeah, but
that's true. But yeah. And then Danny Garcia, who is the ex-wife of The Rock and his business partner, the co-owner and chairwoman, was also quoted as saying, "We're extremely pleased to collaborate with the NFL in these important areas. We're bringing forward an XFL that is progressive and forward-thinking when it comes to innovation, leveraging the newest technology to enhance game day experience. We have an open field for innovative rules to enhance in-game access, sharing insights and practices between the XFL and NFL will do a tremendous amount of good for the game of football and support the player ecosystem overall." So, and then it was also mentioned that among the other things that they want to do is they want to work together through international football development, scouting, and enhancement of officiating. I'm all about enhancing officiating, as we just talked about the bullshit of the Super Bowl.
Well, I think every single football fan on the damn planet is for better officiating.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have it. You got to have it. Or you got to start holding these...
But this actually sounds...
Go ahead.
I was just saying, this actually does sound cool.
It does.
I mean,
it sounds cool as hell.
The XFL, it might be a lower level league, but I don't know.
I'm excited to see it, dude. I cannot wait for the XFL.
I'm excited, yeah.
That
sounds cool. I'm definitely...
I want to see, because I saw the first XFL. I saw the initial XFL when it first came out and only lasted one season. Because before this past season, it came out in the early 2000s, and it only lasted one season. That's where Tommy.
Yeah, I vaguely
Yeah,
remember
that's
that,
where
but
Tommy
not
Mad
like.
Dog Maddox for the
Oh well.
Pittsburgh Steelers came from, and a few other notable players. Rod Smart, the Carolina return man, known as He Hate Me. There were some notable XFL guys. But yeah, anyway, moving on from that, I'm excited to see what happens with that. Also, one other thing, I remember seeing. I want to talk about this real briefly before we move on. The idea of relegation. I know you saw the meme too. That was maybe now it's a possibility. So the meme, which was, like every year, the best team from the XFL should play the worst team from the NFL.
Oh yes,
And
yes,
there's
yes, yes.
actually, I
did
was
see
talking
that.
to my buddy about it, and there's this thing called relegation that they do in the Premier League in soccer. Every year, the top 3 teams go up to the Premier League, and the bottom 3 teams drop down. So imagine if this was a real concept that was developed. It would be great for viewing. And imagine if you've got,
That would be. I have to say that would be.
XFL team versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, and like the winning team goes on, and then if the Jags lose, they go down to the XFL for a year, and then they've got to earn their way back up. Like that would be.
Yeah, I mean
idea.
that's probably not ever gonna happen, but it would be really entertaining because the fans of that NFL team would be like, "What the fuck, man?"
No.
Like,
Yeah.
there's just no way that they would let that actually happen. But it is a very, very good concept.
Then imagine if your team's the team that gets sent down to the XFL. Like imagine if the Niners or the Commanders.
Exactly, that's my point. Like whatever team it is, they're gonna they're gonna be like, dude, what the fuck? This is
the legacy of the 49ers getting sent down to the XFL for a season. You have
a real shit season, a whole bunch of injuries. You go 2-14, and then however many games it is now.
Because it's happened. Because we went fucking 4-12 the other one. It's like
it's like you don't want that shit. No, it sounds like a good concept in theory, and it would be entertaining, but no. Whatever team it is that gets demoted, no, that's just going to be so. And what if they don't make it back the following year? What if they get like Jesus? It could just be so.
What if they're
bad.
like a mid-level team in the XFL? They don't even make the XFL playoffs.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, and then what happens? What happens? There's just no way the NFL is going to let that happen with a franchise.
It would
like that,
beat the shit out of your revenue.
It would be really funny
it would
though.
Beat the shit out of your revenue for sure.
It'd be yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, moving on. Because we got about 3 weeks to go. That's why we're talking about these crazy theories. We got 3 weeks to go before the start of the new league year. Again, for joining us here. As always, we appreciate you. And if you're not already, make sure that you like and subscribe and follow us on all the various social medias that we'll have on the screen here. And yeah, have a good night.